Call the meeting to order at 6:32. First thing to do is approve the minutes from July 24th.
So moved.
Well, the only correction that I would suggest is
Change the
the date on this meeting, on the minutes reads as July 10th,
Ah,
and it should read July 24th. So
got it. I missed that.
I would suggest that if you amend your motion to,
Amended the
As
motion
corrected.
to include a change to July 24.
Second.
Otherwise,
all those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next item is defined simply as purchase of a new highway plow truck. I wanted to bring you all up to speed as to where we are on that, and it's also, I can bring you a little bit more up to speed on where we are with all of the highway expenditures. And also, we can talk about going a little further and repairing an error that was made in the preparation of the budget. It's not going to affect any expenditures, it's not going to affect any revenues, it's just how the budget reads needs to be repaired. And Bud's going to come up and explain that after I get done talking with you about where we are
Okay.
with the trucks. Truck number 6, or no, I don't know what number it is, sorry, but it's the truck that Johnny Lee drives. It's a great big truck. It's the truck that does all the plowing down in the south and the east end of town. That truck is a 1906. The engine, the truck itself is in great shape. The bed needs repair, and that's what we've been talking about over the last year or so. That is going to end up with about a $40,000 expense. That's going to be part of this trucks. That will run us for another 10 years, taken care of. Be a good bed. We're in the process of going through getting the truck prepared for it. It's ordered, and it will be put together. And by the end of this month, we should have a plow truck that's good for another 10 years before it needs any other repair, other than if it drives off a road or something like that.
The bed is, the sander's part of the bed also?
The sander itself is attached to the bed. It's a
Attached to it.
different part, so that will come off. The bed will be put on, painted, done all this stuff.
Okay.
The whole truck, actually, the bed comes off. The cylinder comes off that lifts, the hydraulic cylinder that lifts the bed, does all the manipulation to the bed, comes off. The truck is taken down, sandblasted, cleaned up, made sure, cleaned right up, repainted, and then put back together again with a new bed. That's in process, and that's taking place. So we'll have that, a big new truck, or not a new truck, but a big truck that, barring any unforeseen things, should be good for another 10 years. We had a couple of trucks came down. Freightliner brought down a couple of trucks last week. They sent us the proposals Monday. And we have 3 options. We have a difference of opinion amongst the drivers, although the guy who's going to be driving the truck is happy with anything because he needs a truck. He needs a truck. He's falling through the floor. So we haven't made a final decision on it yet, but I think with all things considered, the least expensive truck is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 154, 155. That's with the plow and all this stuff put on it. The most expensive truck is upwards of 195. And put a plow on it, it's going to be about 200. There are advantages to both, but I don't think that my opinion right now is that the larger truck, the additional cost, doesn't buy you that much more time. Maybe 5 more years, and I'm not sure that. It's tradition in Deep River anyway, and I think around most towns, to swap out the beds every 10 years, every 12 years. And if you take care of it, you should be able to get 10 or 12 years out of them, and that's what we've been doing. This newer bed, different material bed, is a little more heavy duty. It's a stainless steel mock-up. It's not pure stainless steel, but it's supposed to last an additional 5 years. And I don't see that it's a bigger truck, it's a stronger truck, but the real benefit is in the bed. And I don't.
And that's Freightliner.
They're both Freightliners, yeah. So I'm leaning towards the smaller one. They might be able to make one that has the stronger bed and all the other things about on the smaller truck. And that's not smaller. It's just not as it's got a different kind of a spring system and things like that. But it's not. It's the same kind of truck we've been driving forever. And I think that will come in. That would come in somewhere about 100, right in between the two. My thought is that we're going to go with the smaller truck. I call it the smaller truck. It's different. It's just a different layout.
Are these automatics or standards?
They're automatics. Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
They're good trucks. They're basic, no bells and whistles. You know, you roll up the windows yourself. One of the things everybody's happy about is they have got heated windshields, so that you don't depend on the defroster. And that apparently that's I've only plowed a couple of times, and it is
important.
It is important.
Yeah, good.
They're all two-wheel drive, but they're big trucks. We don't need a four-wheel drive. We have a four-wheel drive plow, and that's good enough. I think most towns don't have a whole lot of four-wheel drives. One of the expenses is the Sanders you were talking about. The state is not requiring it now, but they're going to require that the Sanders be automatic computer driven so that they can monitor how much sand and salt gets put on the road. There are benefits to it anyway. It's driven by how the computer can feel, one turn of the wheel gives out this much sand. So, and it all goes. I think it's better. My own feeling, my car right now is the computer's going crazy, and it's telling me this, telling me that, and I know the computer's broken, and there's no way to fix that except for replace it. So it's just one more thing that can break. But I think that the state's going to push us that way anyway. That adds about $8,000 or $10,000 to put that on there. It's only an $800 part, but to transition this different style truck to handle that is about another $8,000. So.
And the 154 to 155, does that cover lights and the radio and everything?
That's completely
ready
decked
to go.
out. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Radio, no, but we'll just transition radio into radio. Switch
So
that
we're
out.
talking one brand new truck plus a rehabbed truck.
Yep.
So two vehicles.
Well, two vehicles will be new-ish.
Yeah.
One vehicle will be new, one vehicle will be refurbished, and we still are shopping for the pickup truck, the smaller plow.
So at the end of the day, we'll have two new trucks and a refurbished truck.
Yep.
So we should be pretty good for the next quite a few years.
We'll be good for another 5 anyway. I think. It depends on, we've done a lot of work on the trucks. Once we get these done, we should be in good shape. We shouldn't have to worry about plow trucks for a while.
Okay.
But you never know. I saw a picture of a plow truck from a few years ago that I think Kenny was driving it, and he hit something, and it just flipped the truck right over on its side. So all of that said about the trucks, I'm going to invite Bud up here. We need to correct the budget as it's displayed and as it reads, and Bud can explain it much better than I can. So in order to do that, though, we need to call a special town meeting. So we'll discuss how urgent that is, and that kind of thing. So here's Bud.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Let me offer to you as an introduction, accounting is a science. And one of the foundations of that science is that you need to match all expenditures with a source of cash. So that the accountants can walk through and measure each one of those transactions. With that in mind, I take you back to when we sat around this table and put the budget together and stood upstairs and talked about the budget. The intention was that we would buy 2 new trucks, repair the roof of the school, and we would borrow to fund those two activities. The best estimates we had when we prepared the budget is the two trucks would cost us $325 and the school $200. We estimated that we would need a new borrowing of $525,000. So it worked very well. At least conceptually it worked very well. And we anticipated that when we would borrow during the budget year, we would have the first of 5 payments due within the year. Now, the mistake I made, and I will take full responsibility for not thinking this all the way through, is I did not incorporate into the budget prepared and presented, the 3 transactions: the buying of a truck, the payment of buying of the truck, the payment to fix the roof, and the new funding. So what I'm asking you to do, if you could help me correct my mistakes, I would ask you to allow all of us to go to a public meeting, right? So that's what we're
Town
talking
meeting,
about. Town meeting, think about it.
Special town meeting.
And we would create a line item in capital to reflect our initial intended purpose of buying 2 trucks for up to $325,000. We would, and I have used the phrase create a new line item, but it's not true. The school already has a capital item of approximately $40,000. We would need to amend that to reflect the 200, so that number would now be 240. Oh, so therefore, there are my expenditures. When Angus buys a truck or does any work on the school, the accountants can record it in the proper line item that I did not put there. If and when we choose to borrow money, that was the initial intention, over on the revenue side or special revenue section, we would see a new borrowing of the initial intention was up to $525,000. So I would ask your authority to send that to a town meeting so that we could correct the accounting that was not done properly. Now, I'm going to repeat what Angus said. This will not change the expenditures or the revenues. While I'm going to endorse it, Angus, because that's what I told the town, this is what we're going to spend, this is what revenues we have. Technically, it's not correct. If we were to look at the old budget, the new budget after the town meeting, there will be $525,000 more expenditures and $525,000 more revenue. It will not change the tax obligation to the citizens.
That's what I meant.
So in something simple, layman's term, we're gonna put another line item that says $525,000 revenue and $525,000 expenditure for the trucks.
That's correct.
And it's not gonna change anyone's taxes, it's all
Right.
gonna be the same, simple
Yeah.
layman's terms.
That's
And
correct.
That's exactly right. In fact, we may not, the way things are shaping up now, as we look at year-end stuff, we may not need to borrow. The school, looking at trying to get someone in here, we did not have time by the time the budget passed and all that kind of stuff to get that work done this summer. So we're not going to be borrowing for that for this year, this fiscal year anyway. We do have to do a small patch. We have to patch an area, but that area will come out of the repair that needs to get done later on. But we couldn't get a contractor. We couldn't do all of the things that needed to take place in time to be done for this school year. So that money is not going to be spent this year. And the other expenditures or the other revenues that or leftover money from this year, we may have enough to where we don't have to borrow, which is just better for
great.
everybody, so.
well, the main thing is that it gets out to the citizens and our constituents that we aren't taking any more money, we aren't
That's
spending
right.
any more money,
Yep.
it's just a
Yeah.
line item change.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
And
So,
while the story rolls on, the distinction that I wish to make, whether it's important to me, I'm asking for authority to return the budget to its initial intention when we took it to the town. Angus is adding dynamics that we may not need,
Right.
we may not make those expenditures need to borrow. I'm asking you to not consider that.
Yeah.
Let me take the budget back to what we told people it
Mhm.
was originally.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I have a tendency to expound on stuff. We don't need to.
Well, it's a very good point that
No,
needs
the
to
point.
be corrected. Maybe we should only change, the alternative was take what we now plan on doing. I'm asking you to look through that, go back to the
Yeah,
initial intention,
yeah.
and that gives us the flexibility.
No, that's right. The point of this conversation is not how we're going to do everything. It's simply to correct
Correct.
the budget. And I didn't need to expound on anything.
And the
that's
original intent.
The intent. The intent as it was explained, the intent as we discussed it, it just did not get put down on paper properly. So we'll need a motion to send us to a special town meeting. But before we do that, what do you think I need to buy these trucks. They're going to disappear if we don't buy one of them soon. I don't want to be painted into a corner by what's left. Do we need to have this town meeting before we make that expenditure? And I don't know the answer to that.
I would think if I was your attorney, I
Yeah.
would say until you have those line items
Yeah.
in that budget.
That's
you
what I
do not
think,
have
too.
authority to pay
Yeah.
for it. Okay. I mean, you're surrounded by those who would challenge you, so,
Yeah.
I would say, I
Yeah,
would like to
okay.
have it in place
All
before
right.
you signed anything.
That's fine. Then we're gonna we'll try to schedule this for August 21st.
Good.
Okay.
Well, let me ask this question. Can we put a deposit on that truck to save it before the town meeting?
We can do a lot of things. My concern if we do that is, what if this doesn't get voted through? But yes, I will do what we can to try to hold on to the truck. It's only a couple of weeks, and I think we can
Okay.
work with them on that. And they understand fully. They understand that towns all over the place are they don't get their budgets done until June. They need trucks before December. So people are scrambling right now. So with that said, we need a motion to send to town meeting a revision to the budget. And I'm trying to think of language because revision to the budget indicates that we're changing the budget, but we simply are changing the descriptor of the budget to.
Words like reaffirm the existing budget.
Yeah. I think we need a motion that sends to town meeting the request to revise the line items on the budget to reflect the original intent of defining expenditures for highway department trucks and school repair. And also the source of revenue for that.
You want to make an announcement?
Okay. Make a motion to schedule a special town meeting, preferably no later than August 21, to revise the existing budget, update the line items, and at the same time, not only for the truck, but also for the school. I hope I got that close.
Yep, that's good.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm fading into the background.
Thank you very much, Bud.
Thanks, Bud. Thanks.
You got any beer?
Audience of citizens, any questions or concerns or thoughts? No? No?
Go ahead. Two quick updates for the two of you. One of the things brought up in today's Memorial Green meeting was something that Richard Naggett is doing now to begin identifying the names of veterans who enlisted from Deep River for periods of service both during and between the wars. And he's got a pretty healthy list already, so that process is ongoing. Also, you may have heard by now, number two, November the 4th, there's going to be a special, call it celebration here at the town hall, to celebrate 100 years of the American Legion, women in the armed forces. They're going
Since
to,
the armistice. It's 100 years since the armistice. this
Yes,
year.
sir.
Yeah.
Yep, so those two things, and I forgot
Is that the
one
same, is that
additional.
the same day as the Veterans Parade?
No.
Different?
Veterans thing is November the 11th.
11?
When is Veterans Day?
The 11th.
It is the 11th, okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, the other thing, I've had some people ask me what's going on at the middle school. They're, of course, repaving the road that takes you up there to the school. They,
Oh, John Winthrop, yeah.
yeah, they expressed some surprise about that. And I said, well,
Yep.
I figured you were aware of it, though.
Well, I was aware of the surprise, and some, I get calls every day and conversations
I know,
about
I
it.
know.
I don't know much more than most people, except for that they called and asked for the names of pavers. But I wasn't sure what that was for.
Yeah, well,
I can fill you in a little bit. Gary Riggio, whose company does the plowing of that road, said it was, or that pathway to the school, said the road was in really bad shape.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I didn't really see it until it was torn up. So I don't know. I drive up it every couple of weeks, but I don't know what it was. I think more to the point is not the expenditure and the need, but the where did the money come from? I don't know how much that is, but I would guess that we're looking at, between the school, the purchase of the property, and that road, we're looking at $500,000. Where was that money?
it would have been a nice
And,
courtesy
you know,
for someone to.
Again, it's being
It's
transparency.
just a matter of communicating to the communities. We're doing this. This is where we're getting the money
Exactly.
from. All those kind of things that we have to do. We have to have these capital plans, and they should too. And I think they're working towards that. I hope they're working towards that. Dwayne has volunteered to represent Deep River, at least for the time being, and where that got off to a rocky start. So.
We schedule meetings in the middle of the day when people have real jobs, so it makes it tough.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Okay.
I have something, I don't know if it's audience a citizen or as a selectman, and I just want to bring it to the front here. I'm all for it. I think it's a safety issue for the bicyclists, and a safety issue for the commuters. This triathlon that's held every Thursday night that goes up Route 80. I've witnessed it for 2 Thursdays in a row. Again, I'm all for it. I think it's great, but the bicyclists seem to want to take more of the road than I think they're allowed. And I'm concerned that a bicyclist is going to get hurt, or maybe lose a life, or there's going to be an accident with a car. Coming around the corner there by the ambulance barn, where it's a very narrow spot there, I've witnessed 2 abreast. Coming up Post Hill there, past the dump, the sun is setting. It's there's a lot of blind spots. And again, here's a person that's lived in this community my whole life. I'm aware of it. But if you're coming into the town, you aren't familiar with it, and you come up that hill and the sun gets you and the bicyclists are in the middle of the road, I'm concerned about the safety of A, the bicyclists, and B, our people that are traveling the road, the motorists. As I came over the hill down by the cemetery, there were 3 abreast, and there was a truck in front of me that had to literally pass on the other side in the other lane. If there was a car coming the other way, something could have happened. So again, I'm concerned for the safety of the bicyclists, one, and the commuters, 2. So I don't know who we can talk to, whether we talk to the bicyclist committee or Dawn or what. I mean, there's Pete that's directing traffic there coming off West Bridge Street, and then there's Ray up there at Route 80 up where Margot lives, that they run right through the red light there, which is fine. There's a cop there, but again, I'm concerned. They come around the corner there at the bottom of John Winthrop. They don't stop. They just swing wide. And again, I'm all for it. I support it, but I'm concerned about the safety for the community.
It's a legitimate concern, especially if they're riding 2 or 3 abreast. That's inappropriate during a race, number one, but on that highway.
There's no, it's a tight area.
Yep.
And they have to realize that, the motorists have access to that road at the same time, that they aren't the only ones that are on the road.
Sharing the road goes both ways.
And
I will talk to Dawn, Pete, and Ray, but I'll also talk to the group, the
event
triathlon organizers, and make sure that they inform their riders that if they want to continue getting these roads opened up for them and getting the services that are provided for that with the police support.
No, you can
But
see.
they've gotta stay single file.
You
and
can
they've
see
gotta
going
stay out
up
of the
Post
traffic.
Hill. Post Hill's a long hill. You're getting there tired, and they start weaving. Again,
Yeah, yeah.
with that sun right there, it's
Yeah.
again.
Absolutely.
I'm concerned about the safety. I just wanted it
Okay,
brought out there on record because, like I said, I don't want us have to hear about an accident.
yep. I will, I'll make sure that I talk to everybody about that if I can.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
And we have, I'll make copies of these, I didn't run off enough copies. We got a letter, we don't have a thing in here, correspondence, I guess this would be audience of citizens, although he's not
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I'll make copies so you guys can have them. And I don't think we need to read this into the record. It will go into the record that we received a letter dated August 9th, 2018 from Brett Thompson, 137 River Street. Brett moved in maybe a couple of years ago. And he's questioning the Valley Railroad's delivering people to the Deep River Landing and then busing them up for the muster. What I think is mostly what he's questioning is the ability of the selectmen to make the decision that overriding the Planning and Zoning Commission's existing permits. I think there are a couple of really important distinctions to point out on this. Is that number one, the Board of Selectmen does not have the authority to override an existing permit. The point on this one is that that was not done. The permit that exists does not speak to the railroad dropping people off or busing them up to the town. The permit, and an important distinction is permits do not tell you what you cannot do. They tell you what you can do. So this permit, the existing permit is to bus people down there to get them on a boat. This particular circumstance was to train them to the town, and we could have asked them to walk up. And that's a train station. I mean, they're allowed to do that. It was decided, or they volunteered to bring a bus. It was all paid for by the Valley Railroad to bus people up to town. They brought about 60 people into town, which I equate to about 30 cars, maybe 25 cars that did not drive into town. This all came about in between Board of Selectmen's meetings, so we did not have an opportunity as selectmen to talk about this, or even as Traffic Commission to talk about this. But we did, I did call each of you individually.
Yep, we sure did.
We had the conversation, and while we did not make a decision, that was mine, we did have consensus that it was a good idea. And I think that as much as selectmen as it was as Traffic Commission, it was an opportunity to allow more people into town and actually trap them in town, so they had nowhere to go except for back onto the train, and they had 3 hours in town to watch the parade, to shop, to eat, to do what they wanted to do. That was the question. I will try to respond to Brett personally and individually, but it was addressed to the Board of Selectmen. I want you guys to have a copy and we can talk about it.
I was for it. I supported it. So.
Yeah,
It was not a decision that the Board of Selectmen made,
Yep.
or the Traffic Commission. It was a decision that I made, but I made that with the consensus of all of us.
Yep.
And it did not, the important part of this letter is it did not, in fact, override or supersede any existing permits. It was an individual thing. Kathy Jefferson, the zoning enforcement officer, has written to the Valley Railroad that if we want to continue this kind of thing, that maybe we come in and get a permit for it. I think the Planning and Zoning Commission would agree that this is something that benefits the community and the event.
On the plus side, like you just said, you know, the people, I hate to use the word trapped.
I know.
But they were
Bad
here where there was only a time that they had to leave. So they
Yep.
could have made purchases at any one of the
Yep.
businesses we have here.
Yep.
On the downside, well, let me say, I'd stay on my upside. On the upside, you had 25 less cars
Mhm.
in the town. On the downside, the 25 cars that maybe could have spent $10 at the church.
Yeah.
$10 at the fire department that could have helped our church. And so again, there's good side and bad side, but in all, I think it was a good call, a good move.
Excellent call, yeah.
You
See,
know.
those parking lots fill up. That's the
Right.
concern.
So next
People are,
thing
and
you're
then people are
parking
parking on
underneath
the
the bridge.
street. You know,
Yep.
they're parking all over the place in dangerous places and getting tickets and all kinds of bad stuff.
Again, I look at all sides of it and try to look the good, the bad, the indifferent. I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, excellent point. I still strongly agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I'll talk with Brett, or I'll send him a note or something, but that's,
cool.
anything else?
No, sir.
I'm good.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
7:02.